I think we're good.
Motion
you.
seconded.
Second.
Member Torres,
Aye.
Member Dubrasky,
Yes.
Member Cyril,
Yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, great. So welcome everybody to the Village of Pittsburgh Historic Preservation Board meeting of Monday, April 14th. We have 4 items on the agenda, plus an information, some approval of minutes, and then some member items. So a little bit to work through today. But do we have any reason for any of the board members to recuse themselves from any of the 4 applications?
I need to recuse myself from 2 Courtney Circle.
Thank you, Virginia. Anyone else?
I don't think so. I know David Wilkes, but that's all.
Yeah.
I just
Well, I think-
put that out there, but I don't have any conflict of interest or anything.
Perfect.
Okay. Which involves money.
Okay, great. Then I don't have any reason to recuse myself from any of the applications either. So we'll start with the first application on the agenda of 88 South Street. You guys want to come up and walk through this together?
Stay there. He does the talking.
You sure?
Yeah. Thank you.
I took a good look at your suggestion. And the project would go from 20 to $45,000, so I decided not to go that route.
With in that route, just for the record, it's
Changing
what
the
we talked
way,
about.
she
The roof
suggested
line.
changing the roof,
Yeah,
because we had to get trusted, I had to get new drawings, and it would just cost a lot more.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to go that route, because I want to put a new driveway in, I want to put new windows in, we're redoing bathrooms. I'm not retired, so we're gonna fix the house.
yeah.
So I allotted about $85,000 to do all my projects. And that would just cut a couple of projects out if I had a switch.
Well, those information only meetings are great just to have an open discussion and hear
Okay.
about the project
Oh, yeah.
more and hear kind of what our mindset is, but we will review this carport as presented and
Yeah.
and work off of the through the application. So let's start. And anybody have any questions or comments?
Just, this is the one that I jumped into halfway through
Um,
last month, so I didn't know that it was informational last month.
Yeah. I didn't really have anything new that wasn't discussed last time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've all reviewed it a few times, I think now. It's been in a packet a few months ago, and then we had the information only, and now it's presented to us here today. So really all I wanted to go through and kind of just talk about a few of the items. So obviously the roof is membrane roof,
Yeah,
right?
it's a little slow.
And then you have the gutter on the left-hand side,
That's correct.
and that'll match the same size gutters as the rest of the
Yes.
house.
Yeah, stay on the property line too.
Okay. We have the 2 posts offset, and as Carolina mentioned in the information only, I was like, maybe we talk about the design of those, but the reason that we have those are strictly at that size and shape are strictly to match the
One's on the porch.
one on the porch.
Yeah.
Okay. And kind of keep it within characteristics. And again, I wouldn't introduce any sort of different
You're good.
style, but
Yep, you got some suggestions, I'm open.
yeah. No, I think as long as it's not just a 4x4 pressure treated in cement, and that there is, you do show some detail in the footing.
That's what the posts are 6x6.
The posts are 6x6.
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
Yep,
And there'll be a concrete footer down under
Mhm.
with the big platform, so.
Yeah.
And then it'll be screwed in to go up.
Mhm.
And like I said, the one is 4 feet 9 inches or 8 inches from the property line, and the other one's 9 inches.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then the closure panel, is that just gonna match? Are you gonna paint that to match?
Yeah, the closure will be the cedar wood I have on the rest of the
And
peaks.
you'll match that?
I'll match that, and
Okay.
the trim will be the same color. I went to Matthews and Fields and talked to them, if I buy their truck for printed wood, which somebody helps me do it, they have to get it there. I can paint everything but the 2 posts.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Okay,
because they do something with their wood that's ready to go on the day you put it in. You get it from Home Depot, and you gotta wait a year for the whole water.
yeah,
Home Depot, I call it.
I've worked with that.
Yeah.
And you screw it in.
So I went there, I think that would be great.
Yeah,
And then there's a knee wall that sits on the wall of the edge of the garage, and that'll block all that off, so birds and bees and all that don't go up in there.
oh, up in here,
Yeah, where you can't see it, but that also it puts the weight on that wall. So now you only have a 10, 11 foot span that's gotta hold the weight.
and just, if you wanna come here, I just wanna make sure we point this out.
Sure.
So this is more of a cross section, right? Obviously, this is the cross section right here. So this isn't what it's going to look like, this exposed wood here. You're gonna have, the same. Like cover
Yeah.
and fascias that.
Yeah,
match
there's
the rest of
another,
it.
there's another, up here where it goes across is where these is gonna match this.
Okay, like right here, so.
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanna make sure that it's not just exposed
But
pressure
this-
treated wood.
this beam here,
Mhm,
right now is just the beam.
of course,
What would be painted the trim color. In this section, which is a lot bigger, that will match this cedar wood here.
This little inferior section.
yeah, this exposure panel.
Yeah.
So is there any way that, like if we're looking at the front of this carport,
Yeah,
are we going to see? Specific like fascia, or is it just gonna be pressure treated wood that you'll paint to look like fascia? Cause we might wanna just add in just a cover piece over this. And in some way tie it into this design that you have on the rest of your home.
This,
it's in the other.
this, this trim piece here it's a rake edge. Because it's the side of the slope. That appears to be a 2x4.
2x10.
No, I mean the face, the ridge board at the front, it's the trim piece.
Yeah, the trim or the fascia.
It is the fascia, fascia is usually.
This baseboard here is a 2x10.
It does not show on this drawing as a 2x10, this one, right here. This piece, not this piece,
Right.
this is
piece
the
goes
report.
way, well, it's a 2x10 by 16. Because we go all the way up to here.
I know, but the piece that's going to show at the street
Right.
is not a 2x10, or if it is, this drawing is not shown correctly to scale. This
Yeah,
is,
it's because he didn't make a whole new drawing. This guy does all his architect by hand.
I can tell that
Instead
he does, and it's.
And instead of,
impressed.
yeah, so that, it's not this guy.
So my point is,
Yeah.
you're asking, what are you gonna see behind? I expect that, these.
Wait, not behind, I'd rather see, I wanna know what's in front.
No,
Oh, okay.
but in front, from the drawing, it's not called, this piece,
Yeah,
this piece is not called out. What
okay,
size this is not called out.
okay,
This piece
So
is a 2x10.
these joists goes all the way, they start here.
But these, excuse me,
oh wait. here,
I
let's-
understand the joists, but there is a finish piece.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking
Yeah.
about.
There's a
He's saying there is not a
There's
finished
not a
piece.
finished piece.
He is saying
Okay.
there is not a finished piece.
Okay, so
In
can
that
you
case,
have that?
then the drawing is not accurate. If you're going to tell me the drawing isn't accurate, that's fine.
Well, I didn't make the drawing, I'm not an architect.
That's my point.
And as far as my understanding is,
I just,
this, when this comes out up here.
yeah,
This piece here, this triangle will match this. These boards that come out here are 2x10 by 16. They'll start up here so we get the angle. The knee wall will be here, which you won't see. And then you'll see a 2x10 in the front.
okay.
And
2x10 in the front
And
as
that
a,
will
as a
be-
decorative piece.
Yeah, and that will be, well, that's all the way across. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's all the way across. And then this will be
It's
painted
across
trim, color yellow.
Okay. I'm not trying to get into the specifics or have any issues with it. I just want to make sure we're calling out I want to make sure that we're calling out the correct design that the pedestrians will see from the street as they walk.
Right.
Like, you know, that's all. I wanted to match the house as best as possible.
Oh, me too, that's
Yeah.
why I did it that way.
Yeah,
If this piece in front is in fact going to be a 2x10, it needs to be called
Yeah.
in whatever decision is made.
These,
Yeah.
these 2x10?
No, they're not.
Well, this one's tough, because it seems like the gutters are fixed to it, so.
Yeah, that's a facial piece, that's only 1 inch by, it's a facial board,
Right.
yeah.
But what's,
So you
And I think what we're getting at is you might want to think about putting a facial board that matches what the house has in front of your 2x10.
Well, we care about it, it's fine.
Yeah, so that it looks like it's a continuous across
Okay.
the house, right?
I can get it, we can put it together.
Continuous is possible, yeah.
If we find it's not adequate, I can talk to Steve and he can tell me what I need to put on it. Perfect, because he's got a lot more experience than I do.
well, it's the visual,
Yeah.
it's the visual that.
Yeah.
That,
So, yeah.
that doesn't match, and I'm sorry, I've done a lot of drafting by hand, I know how hard it is to put an eraser shield on there and erase that line and drop it down to something that depicts what you're going to do. So my concern is that if in
So it's
fact,
a 2x10.
okay,
That's all it's
you're telling me that,
Yeah.
and on this drawing, it shows that on the eave, which is here, it's going to be a 2x10, which is fine.
Yeah.
This is a different piece of wood, and you're gonna see it from a different angle. This is showing it as, perhaps a 2x6, maybe even a well, I'm gonna say it's a 2x6 because it appears to be the same, dimension between the lines as the 2x6. This is a 2x6 post, so,
Yeah.
pardon me?
This is the scale. This is the scale drawing, that's just
No,
to
this is
show
a
you
scale,
the front.
this is a scale drawing as well. These are detailed drawings. This is a scale drawing. I'm sorry. I've practiced architecture
I'm not,
for 30 years, so
I'm just
I don't mean to
telling you
be.
what I know, that's all.
I
Yeah.
understand, but I'm also trying to tell you what I know and what I'm seeing on the drawing. And because there's a specific concern has been expressed, it's my belief that this is not showing a 2x10, it's not called out. But if it is a 2x10, that's fine.
yes,
If it isn't a 2x10, then you are going to see all these rafters down below here.
Right.
Because there's not a finish.
which is what we want. So,
We're on the
From
same
the-
page, the 2x10.
I just want to be sure that.
What the architect told me.
Understand
yeah,
what we're looking at.
I appreciate that, Virginia, because it is something that we want to call out and make sure that that's there.
Because.
So he must have drew it wrong, because it is a 2x10, because we're not gonna, we can't put a 2x6 in there. And actually, that's 2 2x10s put together on the end,
Okay,
so it's solid.
I don't need to be combative, I'm not being combative.
No, it's just you already.
No, you're fine.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, you're okay.
And what, are they, you said there's two, are they joined at the wall line here? Is that what we're looking at?
he did in a
I
minute.
think
Yeah.
they're back to
Is that
back.
the one you're?
No, this is,
Yeah, like you.
I may have.
Right, they said.
I got you.
there's no need for the 2x10 on the.
I didn't give them that one because it was,
This one.
yeah, they have that.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know.
And
He
then,
said it.
And it's not our purview.
yeah, they have that. So
But it is
they-
a purview.
that's the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
smaller scale.
Yeah.
They only
Yeah,
have
just do a different scale, that's a 2x10.
that. Okay.
2x8, you'd say. We changed it to a 2x8.
That should be the same one that you guys are looking at, just
Change-
not full size.
This is the solid blocking that's right here. This is the 2x8.
Oh, there,
that's
2x10, right there.
Okay, this 2x10
Yeah.
is a nailer. It's,
This is gonna get down, oh yeah, that's
okay,
gonna,
this is a 2x10
that's
neighborhood,
what
it's
this on.
fastened,
Yeah.
fastened down, that provides
There's
a
a roof.
bird's mouth here to hold the
Yeah.
rafter.
yeah.
This is a 2x8,
Yeah.
these are 2x8 rafters,
So,
cylinder joists,
here.
the rafters.
So they're 2x8s.
okay,
2x8s.
so my original question, is to define what's gonna be seen from the street over the top of it like that. And I just wanted to match, the existing house. Well, not I wanted
No,
to,
it
I take
should
that
match.
back.
No,
No,
no, I don't.
we would like to see it
I
match, so,
understand.
yes, we would like to see it match.
Don't worry,
so
I
that-
understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
So this has trim on it, so I have to figure out just how to trim it.
Yeah,
if you could trim it.
Is that trim on the?
Make it look the same.
yeah, it's got like a little step down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On the eaves, it's a 4x1
Mhm.
piece that goes across.
Layer.
Mhm.
Just a layer, just to, as an end cap.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So is that what you intend to do? Is that layering or are you gonna just a solid?
I could put another piece up here to make it match, look at fuck like that. It's
I
not.
don't care either way, I just wonder which one it is.
But this is a gable and this is an eave, so
Right.
we're looking at different elements of the.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, yeah, like which are we going with?
Yeah, so what do you think it should be?
I think it should match the eave, not the gables.
Match this eve right here,
Yes,
right here?
yeah, see, this is trimmed out, there are multiple boards there that are creating those visual
Yeah.
lines there.
Oh,
So you
get
say
a
it should
rake
match
edge.
right here,
Yeah.
No, well, this
That's a
is,
gable too.
this edge, the eve edge.
okay.
Which, it's, anything, I think you could just leave the 2x8. And you're gonna have a gutter. No, you.
The gutter's gonna be on the side. So this is.
But you're gonna paint it this yellow color.
Yes, it'll all be trimmed, the same exact colors. This little section will be green and then those pieces will be yellow.
Okay.
It matches the house.
You could put a chair.
Well, I can't see with my butt.
I'm sorry,
If I get close.
I get it, there's one.
That's why I had to get this on, I gotta, let me see this. I get blind too.
All right, so is there any other topics for discussion? And just to be clear, we'll have the trim match the eve.
The eve. The eve and the rake trim. The. Open carport. Should match each other, which is what the applicant is saying,
Yes.
I just want,
not the house.
that's what it is.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions with materials or design?
I tried going the other way, but there wasn't enough room in the lot.
Yeah, that's,
It was really tight.
yeah. Okay, then I'll make a motion to accept the application.
Thank you.
But- oh.
Pardon me?
I was just.
But so that
Yeah,
the
it's fine, and
eve
I'm sorry,
work matches,
didn't need to be offensive.
the rake trim on the carport and this,
Chair, could you
yeah,
just hold on until everyone's
I'm
done?
sorry.
that's all right.
That's okay.
The applicant denied it.
Thank you.
Making friends again.
Yeah.
All right, so I made the motion to accept the application. And the only call out that we'll make on this is that the eve on the carport matches the eve on the house.
Okay.
Second.
Take a look at that.
Member Cyril?
I have concerns about this application. It's my opinion that what presented is not appropriate. And because this board is charged specifically not to consider costs, And I understand their need and desire. I understand how much it would cost to do something different, but I will not approve the application.
Is that a no?
That's a no,
Thank you.
sorry.
It's okay. Member Torres,
Yes.
member Dubrasky,
Yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Work.
It passes. You'll get your
For
CFA.
Other applicants, we do not have a full board, so you have the right to have a vote of a full board.
Thank you.
If for whatever reason you feel
Just
like it's not gonna go your
gonna
way,
Yeah.
And then.
feel free to have a
Okay,
say.
people let it. Okay.
I have to fill it out.
Okay.
Okay. See you. All right, thank you.
All right, finding the facts are that the carport itself, has been approved,
Yeah.
based on the materials, the applications need, the design matching the existing house.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And from what research I've done on carports and horticultures, it matches the style of the house and the time as best as possible.
I know. Okay.
All right. All right, cool. Somehow removed. Easily.
Oh, that's. Easily, it can be reversed.
Okay, we'll go to 240 Circle for the shed application. Okay,
I don't,
we'll
yeah,
table it for the time being if they show up.
they're not online either, so
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go to 15 Elmbrook for the front door.
they are online.
They're online. Okay.
Yes. Brazano family, we could hear you. Just have to unmute.
Hi, yes. Can you hear us now?
One moment, okay? Let me make sure that you're on the speaker.
Absolutely.
Can you try again?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks so much for your time.
May I ask you a question before you begin? This is Virginia Searle.
Absolutely.
Has this house had a new addition on the rear where a bedroom and a new bathroom was added?
No. No, there was, no.
No,
Okay.
no.
No, I think I worked on this house.
Oh, bad.
I think I can't remember if it was 15, it was a house on Elmwood, and I think it was 15 and it looked very much like this, but it was 10 or 12 years ago, so I can't count on my memory that early. It's a lovely, charming little house, probably not that little.
It convinced us to move in.
Nice. So this is Mark and Julia.
Correct.
Yes,
Great.
I'm here as well.
Thanks for calling in. So tell us about what you're looking to do and why we needed to discuss a new door.
Yeah, so the current door is not in good condition, and we're hoping to optimize it with a new door, and it should help, especially with it feeling drafty. And obviously this was a particularly bad winter, but I think that really helped push us in that direction.
Okay, and on your application, I see that you've actually, where's Chris? I'm sorry. Are you guys on video? Can you see us?
We can see you. Yeah.
We need to wait for Chris to come back.
Is the door that's shown in the photographs the new door? Or is that the old door? Is this what already done? That's what I'm listening.
Yeah.
The photograph should be the current door.
Is that a new door that you put on, or is that the door that came with the house?
The door that came with the house.
Okay,
We haven't touched it.
yeah. There was just a question in the, at the table here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
the storm door has been replaced though, right? Or not?
Not to our knowledge.
Oh, okay,
In
so,
2004.
oh, that's a really old picture
Yes,
then,
it's
yeah, the
2004.
storm door that has panels. Yeah, okay. All right.
I didn't hear him excuse himself, so. I haven't heard it.
Okay. Chris is back. So Chris, we haven't really talked too much. They haven't, what you missed is, and before I stop, maybe just so you have all the information is. They haven't done anything. This is strictly an application for a replacement door due to. They're full of, you know, a drafty existing door. My main concern is, you've done everything that is identical except for the material going from wood to fiberglass. On a home of this age and this relevance and what we'd like to see here on the HPB is replacing it in kind. And there's a lot that goes into why you steer away from fiberglass, but is there two options to ask? One, would you ever consider replacing it with a brand new wood door? And two, would you consider having the existing wood door repaired or shored up? Because, you know, I think we all living in this village understand that these homes are very old. And drafting is definitely an issue. In fact, my house is on Church Street. We have the original doors from 1863 on the house. And you can see light coming through them. You can see the cold air coming. You could feel the cold air coming through them. And I ended up doing a project not only on the front two doors that we have, the little suicide doors, but then also on the back of our house in the kitchen. I did a really big like weather stripping job in the fall and just kind of went through and shored up, especially with energy prices and the price of natural gas. I think we all got the RG&E bill in December and said, wow. But you know, I think we would like to see either a restoration first or a replacement in kind, wood to wood before we actually moved to considering fiberglass. So you guys have any comments on that?
I agree with that, and weather stripping is exceedingly important in this climate.
Yeah.
You need to have it on windows and doors.
We yeah, really appreciate your comments and, you know, obviously the historical relevance, the value that brings to, you know, the charm and the character of the entire village. And we, you know, appreciate being stewards of a home that hopefully lives up to that, and we want to maintain that. And we certainly very much considering those options. You know, our challenge has been with it is that it seems highly likely, as you know, any house before 1978, that there's a lot of lead there, and we have a young 1-year-old child. And even with efforts of stripping and those aspects, we are a little concerned. We do have HEPA grade vacuum and whatnot, but you know, the lead particles that then could be, you know, a health hazard type of situation. And then, you know, in terms of the feasibility of it as well, it's not even just really the door itself, it's also the entire casing of the door. That is probably even more problematic than the door itself. And at that point, the job sort of escalates even greater. And you know, we're obviously, I don't work in construction, but it just seemed based on what, you know, the feasibility and aspects of it, it just didn't seem that it's really warranted at that point to really do that. But we certainly explored and want to maintain as much of the character as possible. And that's basically why, you know, it was actually quite remarkable, you know, at the store that we're hoping to replace it with. You can see in the application, it does appear to mimic exactly the same style of door. And you know, even if the material is different. And then, of course, the color. So we're not even, you know, we're trying to emulate as close as possible to the original.
I would just comment that the original door, the panels, there's shaping on the edges of the panel all around. And there's not enough visual on the information that the Morse Lumber Company gave you about this door for us to know whether or not the details match. And there's a big difference between just a straight edge when you're looking at it and a profile. When you look at it even from the street. Regarding the lead, while I totally understand, I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I've done projects in my own homes with lead paint. As a preservation architect, I'm acutely aware of the issues around lead paint. But regarding rehabilitating the existing door, I can give you the name of a great wood restoration individual who redid the front door of Village Hall. And if the door is truly in bad shape and you are interested in rehabilitating it, I can tell you where that individual is. But what you're talking about in replacing the door, if you're just replacing the door, you're not necessarily getting into casings and stuff like that. You take the pins out of the hinge and you put the door on and put the pin back in. So I understand your concerns about lead paint. They're valid. And when we did work, we took precautions to make sure that the young children in our homes were safe.
Sorry, I just have a question on your comments, on your application here. It says that you're not going to be replacing the casing and the brick mold. Is that correct?
Not necessarily to replace the door, if they're just replacing the door.
I think they're on mute. If you want to just call them again, ask them again.
Yeah, sorry, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. No, we,
Are you replacing the door and the full frame around the door? Or just the door?
I think that's a function, it has to be to replace the door. I'm not sure why.
To take off the casing to replace the door? Who told, Morse told you that? Did Morse Lumber tell you that in order to replace the door, you had to remove the casings?
Well, no, the casing is problematic with it. It's already been caving in.
I'm sorry, it's already what?
Like a lot of the doors in our house.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. We're just trying to better understand. I think we're just trying to better understand the scope of this project, if it's in Carolina, if you want to rephrase your question.
Yeah, so my question is, are you just replacing the door or are you replacing the entire frame that the door is in and the casing?
Oh, sorry. Yes,
The door.
okay. We're just replacing the door, but obviously the casing will have to be adjusted to that new door.
Yeah.
Is the door a different size?
No, the door should be the exact same size.
Yeah, the door says the same size.
No, I don't understand why the casing needs to be replaced.
Well, over time, it kind of warps in a little bit, so it's just gonna need to be fixed around it.
What was that?
Isn't that a normal part of old houses?
So let's back up a little bit. There's three components here. There's the door. Then there's the frame that the door is attached, that, you know, it's like a frame that goes around the doorway that the door and the hinge is attached to it. And then there's casing, which is the trim that is in the front and, you know, on both sides of the wall. Yeah, that like trim the, you know, they're flush against the wall and it's trim.
It's
Yeah, we're not changing anything to the appearance or trim at all. We're just talking about the way that the door closes and is attached to make sure that it's a nice tight seal and keep it energy efficient and functions well and is safe.
Okay, so it's the frame, and the door that you're replacing.
The frame, I don't think we're replacing. We're trying to just make sure that it lines up with the door. It might, you know, depending on how that door ultimately enters, we're hoping that it will just, be able to work with the new door.
There
But-
has,
You know,
there has to be space between the door and the frame, if the door is gonna open and close. It can't be a tight wood to wood fit. What you need to keep the cold air out is weather stripping.
And
But
just
you're
look
never
at,
gonna get, excuse me.
No, I'm sorry, no.
You're never gonna get a wood to wood contact and be able to open the door. So how that is resolved is to apply weather stripping.
yeah, and the weather stripping may need to be fixed, whether that part is replaced or not.
Well, typically that would be done with the door. The weather stripping would be done with the installation of the door. It would be part of the package.
Yeah,
and just looking at the description of the quote, it really does look like it's just strictly the door.
It's just the door,
Um,
yeah.
So if it's other scope of the project is fixing the frame or the molding, whatever we want to call it. It seems to be outside of the scope of this door, so I think right now we should really discuss if the options moving forward. I think you can tell that the board's probably not going to approve a fiberglass door. So without just saying, putting this to a vote and then having a negative reflection or a negative outcome. What are your thoughts on going down the route of restoring the door and talking to contractors? Or having a consultant come to your house and try to better assess the condition of the door. And if the contractor, or excuse me, if the village consultant says that the door needs to be replaced, then we could look into replacement doors, or if it needs to be restored and they can restore it for less than $1,400, then that might be a really good option for you guys.
I mean, the trend has been going towards fiberglass doors, even in historic areas. It provides a lot more energy efficient cost savings and everything too. So I guess, like, I understand keeping things as sacred and 100% the original as possible.
Yeah.
But but it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, there's a clear risk benefit here.
Yeah, if we had to go that route, then we'd want to look at whatever documentation you're referencing and think about making actions in that way, but. Not only do we look at each application case by case, but we also, set precedent with each application too, so. If it was to go in this direction, with a positive approval for a fiberglass door, then it would set the precedent in the village to go that route for pretty much anybody. And that has not been done, so, at least
There
to my
hasn't
knowledge,
been.
while I've been on this, not, at least to my knowledge, while I've been on this board.
There haven't been fiberglass doors before.
I've not approved the front fiberglass door on the front of us.
That went on in 1940.
Yeah.
1990.
Mhm.
So if there's something that you want us to take a look at that goes that route, but
I believe we have to prove five bridge or steel barrels before, as long as they were
Steel.
maybe one. Exactly like a wood door, panic door.
Mm.
I believe this board or the boards have approved that before.
okay, we'd have to look that up. I would not like to make a decision based on what I believe. And then on top of that, we just need more design information on the door, before we move forward too. As Virginia stated.
But the board is correct, the standard is repair rather than.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that last part.
That was our legal consultant.
Yeah, the standard in our code requires repair rather than replacement, so. The first issue might be whether, if it cannot be repaired. Then we get to the next one is material. What would be appropriate?
But the question, but the main issue is not whether it can or can't be repaired. It's can or can't be repaired safely. We have a 1-year-old child and I don't want to risk him being part of a historical experiment.
If the door is going to be repaired, it's my belief that it will need to be removed.
Yeah.
And taken to a shop where the lead paint can be safely removed. Any cracks or damaged material can be repaired. Weather stripping can be installed.
Virginia, it's not just the door, it's also the casing.
You told us that it was just the door in the application,
Casing.
so which is it?
Right, but when you take it off and the casing's still there, and it's going to need to be,
We don't
applied
have
to the new
casing
door,
for
there's
casing.
gonna be inherently damaged when it gets replaced.
Who told you that you have to remove the casing to replace the door?
It should just come right off the
The
hinges.
door comes right off the hinges.
And the application doesn't talk about the frame and the casing. It's only for a door.
Well, it is just for the door, but I'm just saying when you take off the door and put it back on, you're not saying that there's gonna be collateral issues?
No, the
No,
door
Well,
comes off.
when you get a new door and replace it in the same casing, you're also gonna have to shim and, modify the casing so that it fits right.
That's what I thought.
Who will install the door?
Who will install the door?
Who will install the door? Morse Lumber?
No, we have our own contractors familiar with the house before.
Okay, then
Joe Hancock.
in that case, then your contractor is responsible for lead-safe construction operations.
Yes, and he's certified.
Well, that means he will provide protection so that your child is not exposed to lead paint, dust, or fumes, or chips. That's his job. That's his legal requirement. Just so that you know, I'm not trying to be combative. I'm just telling you what the contractor's legal obligation is.
But also
Yes.
that's standard process and not, to use your words, an experiment.
Yeah, and refurbishing an old door and preserving a historical element of your house. First of all, it's not gonna happen on site. As Jenny said, it gets taken away by the person who specializes in doing that, and they refurbish it and they strip paint, and they do everything else. And then they bring you back the door and your contractor puts it in and makes sure that it's in there and fitted properly, just as he would for a new door. It's exactly the same process. But you're preserving an element of your house that's historically significant.
Inconceivably cheaper.
It's an original
probably
character-defining feature of the home.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna be cheaper for you.
What, so is it like a plastic wrap that insulates the house in the meantime? And how long does the process usually take to get a new door, get that door refurbished?
It would depend entirely on the contractor who is doing the work. There are a variety of contractors in the city. And I mean by city, I mean the greater Rochester area, including the person who refurbished the doors on Village Hall is down in Lyman, which is not a far trek.
Right. Many of these people have, multiple sort of spare doors, and they'll give you a temporary door while they're fixing your door. That's, we had some windows fixed at our house, and, they gave us temporary windows.
And we can get you in contact with all those contractors and a consultant if you want to.
You can get prices from people to refurbish the door before you make a decision. There's more than one person, and I agree, it's likely to be less expensive. Historically, wood windows in homes that are well tuned, that means there's good weather stripping, they operate well, there are sash locks, with a well-fitting storm window outperform new windows as far as energy efficiency goes. So if you're thinking that a new door is going to be more energy efficient than a restored old door with a well-fitting storm door, I don't believe that's the case. I think you can achieve the same energy efficiency using your new restored door
Yeah.
with a well-fitting storm door, and the restored new door, the
And weather
restored door needs to have weather stripping on all four sides.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to table this application, and Mark, I would suggest you come in and talk with Alexandria and Steve about consultants and available contractors to get this work done. And if the contractor or consultant says this is has to be replaced, then we should we'll keep this open, we'll revisit this application. And hopefully, yeah, move forward in the right direction, but that would have to be, you know, a letter written from a consultant to the board in your favor.
It would need to be,
And-
there needs to be documentation.
And that's not us just, because I know you're new to the village, right?
Yes.
So I know that, I don't want you to think that this is something that we're just making up for your application. We do this with almost every single applicant that comes in front of us to replace windows. It just happens to be a door in this situation. So we do this routinely, but this is the right path to go forward with.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate the feedback and the suggestions, and
Yeah.
we'll look into, yeah, we'll follow up with.
Usually the estimates are free, right? So you can get several estimates from restorers, and it's not gonna cost you anything. And I think you could actually save some money.
For restoration, do we have to get approval?
No. No.
Okay,
I'll second the motion. Does anyone second it yet?
That's just you. Member Torres,
Yes.
member Dubrasky,
Yes.
member Cyril,
Yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, Mark.
thank you. Appreciate you guys' time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The last application is should be on his phone. To working,
Can we do who's in person?
he's not well.
Okay.
Hotel?
He's supposed to be inside.
I know, but we got tabled, but he's here with.
Do you want to just check on him? He's the applicant.
Sure.
Okay.
Is this board, is this, excuse me, 2 Courtney Circle? It is, please unmute.
Hello.
He's here, yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can help unmute him and I can't, he has to do it on, I've allowed him to talk.
I can't.
Is he on his phone, Steve? Pardon? Is he on his phone? Yeah, he's on his phone.
Yeah, you can, you can, press 9 mute.
Um. Let me see here.
Hello?
Hello. Hi there.
Is this
Yeah,
Robert?
I don't know this stuff. They told me to hit *6 to unmute on my landline. So I tried it. It's pot luck here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
You hear us all right?
All right.
Okay, so Robert, tell us what you're looking to do. Explain your application for us, please.
It's a storage shed. 8 foot by 15 foot, 120 square feet. made out of wood. It'll be painted, the house is green. It'll be painted green. And the shingles will be green also, cause the house has green shingles. So I'm gonna try and match it as best I can, you know?
Okay, so is the siding also wood or is it a composite material?
Is the what? I'm sorry. The
No, that's
setting?
okay.
The
It's
side-
all wood. It's all wood.
Okay,
It's made by an Amish place. I don't know if you have my paperwork there. Unfortunately, I don't have mine. I don't know what
Yeah,
I
we
did
have
with
it.
it right now. There's an Amish place off of 490. They build them, you know? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Now, if they can't deliver it, I'm not sure if they can deliver it because it, then they give a kit, you know? They make it as a kit and put it together, you know? I know people, construction people, they built a house. They can put it together for me.
So Robert, the spec sheet says that it's vinyl siding.
Pardon?
The spec sheet here says vinyl siding, and I was hoping if you could clarify.
No. This is all wood. This should be all wood. There's no vinyl. I just printed out their website, you know? No, this is wood, because I know you guys don't allow vinyl or aluminum, you know?
I can't,
And it's gonna be painted.
challenging to tell.
It's got
If it's an
I think
option
white
or
trim.
standard.
Pardon?
It's challenging from the spec sheet to tell if it's an option or if it's the standard siding. But it does list vinyl siding on what you provided us.
No, it's not vinyl. It's just I printed off of their site, you know, their general information, you know? You
Yeah.
know, they say 2 windows, 1 on each side. You get the door in front, you know?
Your door is gonna be on the side.
No, it's in front. It'll be facing.
Okay.
There's a side. I want a side entrance door, okay,
Oh, I
where I
see.
can open it up to go in,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Yeah, I see.
And then the doors that open in front.
Got it. Okay.
How about the vents? It also lists the vents as vinyl.
Pardon, I can't hear you too good. What was that?
The spec sheet also lists the vents as vinyl.
Yeah, I don't know. A vent. I actually live in Greece up here. I think that's an option. They have a vent on. You know, like not on the roof, but you know, toward the tops of it. You know, front and back, so air can get in and out. If I can get that, I will. If that's a problem, I won't. You know.
No, there's 2 options. There's one that is, that's paint, that they paint, and then there's one that's
Maybe
vinyl.
green?
So you have
Yeah. No, this is paint.
several
No, it's
options.
not going to be. No, I wouldn't have vinyl because you get one. You guys don't allow that, I believe, and 2,
Mhm.
it would look like crap. You know, because the house has got it's green. Those I don't know what they call those old boards. You know, you get the.
Yeah,
no, it's not, I think it might be shingles.
The house itself,
it doesn't.
Yeah, it looks
I
like-
see it.
concrete.
It's so
it's
dark.
but it looks like.
I don't really see an issue if it's, as long as it's wood siding and.
Yeah, as long as it's wood
trim,
siding.
Then,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't see an issue with this. It's pretty standard. You know,
I'm okay,
asphalt
so-
shingle. Yeah,
I
and it's-
for myself.
Can we just specify that it's gonna be wood siding and wood shingles, just because the.
I'm gonna ask,
Well,
is it?
Sorry,
I don't
siding.
think it's
I
going to be
meant to
regular
say-
shingles, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah,
Wood siding and wood vent and wood trim and asphalt shingles, if we can just specify
but
that.
Yes, we can specify.
it's going to be the house is green and it's got green shingles, and I've got a sample of the shingles. I wanted to match the shingles on the house or something close to it. You know what I mean?
It's gonna look really good.
Yeah,
We share the same feeling, we just don't want it to get delivered and have the wrong things and then us be in a bind.
So I'll make
Yeah,
a
they
motion.
told me $8,000, you know, so I haven't been over, I gotta see if they can, they have room to bring it completed, or they say if they can't, they bring it as a kit. And, then like I say, I have somebody who built their own house and they can do that for me if it comes to that, you know?
Excuse, is this the Amish outlet that's, right by the railroad tracks if you get off at the Churchville exit of 490? I'm sorry, the North Chi exit of 490?
There's an exit over there. To be honest, it should say on the paperwork the name of the place. I know there's an exit off of 490 going west. It might be exit 5. I'm not sure. You know.
I cannot vote on this application because my son works there and the sheds there, I mean, they're giant sheds and they bring them in.
Yeah, I saw
Built.
a video online.
Yeah.
Built.
Yeah.
My son got,
Not if they don't have room. They may not have room. You know.
what my son has told me is that they will bring, he had to get a commercial driver's license because he has to drive a rig big enough to bring the bigger sheds in. And they drive them in and they have a little, device that hooks onto the, structure that holds them together and they just roll it right in. I don't think it will be in pieces at all. It's my expectation that you will see your shed fully formed.
Is this gonna be sitting?
Yeah, I'd like to have it fully, because I want to go over and inspect it before they bring it to make sure they did what I wanted. You know, before they get paid.
Okay, can we, I just want to go ahead and make a motion to approve this application as it is, specifying that it's going to be wood siding, wood trim and, vents and asphalt shingles.
I'll second that motion.
Are you guys okay with the location?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna call the vote, okay? Member
Oh,
Sarah?
okay. All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, abstain? Member Torres?
Yes.
Member Dubrasky?
Aye.
Chair Olson?
Yes.
Motion passes for the shed.
Do you want to tell them next directions?
Yeah, Bob,
Yeah, Steve?
you just gotta come see me for a permit before it's installed.
Pardon, I didn't hear you, Steve. I'm sorry.
You need to just come in and get a permit from Steve before it's installed.
Oh, right. I'll stop down I'll stop down the village and I'll stop in and get it, okay? All right?
Yeah.
All right, have a great night.
Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your help. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Me too.
So let me just point out. The siding on this is shown with vertical lines, but I just checked with my son, it'll be T111, I believe. So he's talking about shingles, he's talking about the roof, not the
Yeah.
siding. But I don't have a firm number, T111 on the shed.
4 North Main,
Right, good evening, everyone.
thanks for your patience.
There.
Current sign and thing location, there you go. But, it's been helpful.
All right,
Notes I have, put it in things.
all right, so are you Evan or are you?
I'm actually Brian White.
Okay, you're Brian, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So I did bring some samples for everyone. So for the larger dimensional side, this is actually going to be the thickness, same material, which is going to be painted in their branding colors.
Okay.
This is a better sample, of this kind of letter size, what it's gonna be. And then for the second smaller, one, you'll see there, next to the door. It's gonna be an 1/8 inch poly metal, which is gonna be the brushed silver. The same substrate, it's just gonna have a line of decal over it with their brand. So those are the samples just for those two signs.
Did I miss the sign by the door?
Yeah, so there's two signs, correct?
Two signs, correct?
Yeah.
So the sign by the door is gonna be the metal,
Yes.
right, and then the other one's gonna be this.
Yep.
This and this.
Yeah.
And the
So
sign,
it's the same material, I just wanted
Oh.
to kind of give you a
Mhm,
better example of the letter size.
mhm.
and the sign, the door sign is. Where this sign is,
This sign.
this sign.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
this is
The other
the,
side.
And this is something I'm just wondering because I don't see the image of
Right here.
the other door.
Right here.
Then
The-
the-
What's it?
The door sign or the larger?
That is the doors,
Oh, yes.
larger dimension
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
is gonna be the acrylic.
That's-
The polymetal sign will be fastened through the face, right into the vinyl siding. For the larger dimensional, it's actually gonna be stud mounted or pin mounted, go threaded on the back, and then we use construction adhesive.
Is this vinyl siding? I'm just,
Sure.
you just said vinyl.
I believe it's vinyl siding, when I surveyed it, it looked like it felt like it.
Mm,
Probably not, but I'm not, I'm not sure.
Vinyl siding, a fair amount of vinyl siding went up until about
I'm not sure.
84, 86, around in there.
Hmm.
So it could.
It could very well be,
When it on you?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
tell me about that.
My house has some stuff snuck in on it, not me, but.
It's not that.
All right.
You were friends with,
Well, it's not.
the only thing I would ask is that the smaller sign be centered on the wall there, just like the previous one was.
So we were thinking about that, client actually mentioned that, and we were just kind of. It's honestly personal preference, that more than likely is gonna be where we do place it. You said
In the
that
center?
conversation, yeah.
I like the height, yeah, everything.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember the last time we did this application, we had to count
Yeah,
where it's going. Oh, no.
because the drawing wasn't scaled.
Right, no, this is, yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Okay, so let's just focus for now, let's just focus on the first floor sign to the right of the door.
Sure.
The sizing, 18.5 by 28, I don't believe that that's an issue.
mhm.
Anybody else have any issue with that?
No,
Okay, let's call out, where we want it mounted. You mentioned personal preference. Is the personal preference where it's presented to us, or is the personal preference centered?
Personal preference is gonna be centered.
Okay,
From
so
what
it's just
I-
represented here just because,
This was honestly an early rendering.
Okay.
Before.
okay,
I would strongly recommend centered, because the mailbox there just kind of makes it busy looking.
Sure.
I moved the mailbox.
Either honestly, either would be.
Either one.
Yeah.
To be
Just trying
completely
to-
transparent, the client did mention about moving the mailbox, but I
Yeah.
said, listen, it's your call, I'm gonna tell you to move the mailbox or not move it.
It's not something you're gonna die over, did you?
No, it's
Like,
not,
it's,
it's not. Either move the mailbox or center it, I don't care.
My personal opinion is it's important that the sign be at the door.
at the door, yeah, yeah.
What about above the door?
Mhm.
If the mailbox is a problem, the sign could go above the door.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I'm fine with it. either.
with the bottom door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm fine with the
I don't
bottom
think
one.
there's any
The size is
issue or
fine.
questions. It's at the right height too. And if it needs to be moved over to the right, that's acceptable as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so then let's talk about the upstairs benchmark sign. Just off of first look, it looks a little big. I don't have any issues with the design. Or the coloring, or, you know, what I usually talk about is, what I usually get into is like when people have too many words on the sign, we try and minimize that, so benchmark, related advisors, it's perfect. But I think that the height is a little too tall, for that spot. From the 39 inches, because if you look at it, and if you count the actual boards that it covers, it's getting very close to the bottom edge of the window. And it doesn't start too far off from the bottom of the building, so it's covering that entire area. So I think it would be best, in my opinion, and kind of the design, especially right here at the four corners, is to shrink it a little bit. And we could work through the definition of a little bit. Because
I feel like even
that's-
10% would be enough, like
Yeah.
like you want it to be.
You've got
Right,
30,
large enough.
39
Pittsburgh
inches.
Fine Arts is quite prominent in itself.
Right, but it's hidden a little bit, and I don't wanna get into the Pittsburgh Fine Arts, it should match. And I think that the benchmark is much bigger than the Pittsburgh Fine Arts.
So I think it's a reasonable expectation, right, that they at least somewhat are relatively the same size.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, 39 inches and then the sign is 32. You know, which means that you've got 3.5 inches above and below. It's pretty small. It's smaller even than one of the single slats.
Yeah. That was
So
a big
I would-
concern as well, so looking at realty advisors, that text, the client wanted it as big as possible to make it legible from the road, which I understand. But also really advisors, it's gonna fit right on that one slat vinyl siding,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so that was a big concern of kind of where the acrylic is gonna lay when we
Mhm.
install it, so that's.
What are your thoughts on leaving realty advisors the same and shrinking the rest of it?
I'm open to it, I mean, I
Yeah.
could definitely pitch that to my client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it looks better to have realty advisors match that 3-inch board.
Yeah,
Without
so
getting into any
it's
sort of
right now.
ratios or trademark issues with the
Right.
size of the money. But if it fits there, if the realty advisors portion fits, but then the benchmark and then the multiple images above. Are a little bit overbearing, and again, if you wanna talk to your client too, it's more about pedestrians view. So if you're at the far side of the light, like everyone is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can't see that it says realty advisors, that's okay. It's really about when you're standing right here on this street corner and right here on this street about, is that legible? And I think that at this size of the realty advisors, it would be. So,
I have less of a concern about it than you do, because I'm having a very hard time.
right, but that's
The
printed,
color
that's printed in the color is tough here.
makes it
Yeah.
so benchmark, it's really.
Is this the size of the realty?
It's very close.
Right, so you'd be able to see this. This bottom image right here is because it's printed and it's on,
But I-
it's
I,
superimposed. You'd be able to see this from
I
this.
also think the colors are too close for me. I don't
Oh,
think
okay.
there's enough contrast in the colors for me.
But it,
For me to be offended by the size.
Sure.
No, they're not gonna be
No.
flush, they'll be plumb.
Yeah, don't be plumb.
Yes, there's gonna be a little offset.
Right, okay.
I think I would be careful about trusting the color, you know, the color that's in here.
Do you have a measure?
You know, from the print, you don't.
No, I understand that, but because it's a different color and there's less contrast between the siding and the color of the letters,
Mhm.
not only here, but over there, it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
just,
choice.
Yeah. and
it's
they
not
have-
that,
That's their logo.
not a big issue. I have no problem with asking that the benchmark be
Yeah.
somewhat
Two.
smaller, and I think that's a reasonable ask.
Yeah. So, and I just brought that just in case you wanted to define the 39 to 32 inches are. So, if we brought it down, let's see,
Do you want another tape measure, pull up 39 and 32? I've got a tape measure.
no, that's all right. Do you want us to call it out, or do you want to ask your client a preference of the size, or would you be, because what we just did with Collier's Cafe, which actually, if anybody had gone down and seen it, it's a really well-positioned sign.
That's the size.
And they had this very similar issue of being too close on both sides. So, I mean, if we want to go through and define it, we can. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, then. let's see.
The other reason I do suggest that is because we did have to have it a little smaller to begin with, but the client was very.
And
I mean,
Right.
we'd like you to walk out of here with an approval, so you can at least move forward if they say yes, otherwise you gotta come back, right?
I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah.
If you ask. It's only about 3. I'm gonna call them favorites, they're not really favorites if it's final sided, but.
Two seems reasonable, especially if you're concerned about it from a mounting perspective.
Two seems like a
Where-
pretty
whereabouts
big
are the
reduction.
So it's gonna vary by letter.
Okay,
And the shape.
so you have, okay,
In theory, coming from the install aspect of it, we can actually try to remove, let's say, one of the studs if it's not gonna mount correctly and it's not gonna sit appropriately. So we'd mount where we could and then just add more construction pieces to the
Mhm.
back.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend, right now, it looks like they're about 2 3/4 clapboards high.
almost, three, I mean, it's
11
about half and half.
Yeah, because of the bottom of the bottom of the E. Yeah, they're very close
Okay,
to being 3 clavers.
Mhm.
So if the total height of the sign was reduced to 26 inches, that's 13 inches. And then you could split it on either side and kind of position it. Off of the realty advisors on the second to bottom clapboard.
And just to be clear, that is just for the house shapes as well as the benchmark text. We're leaving realty advisors.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we define it going off of the bottom of the building, excuse me, the bottom of the second floor. And there's an open clapboard, and then above it is the realty advisors. And then, if we shrunk the total size of the logo or sign, to 26 inches. So that it doesn't exceed from top to bottom of the realty advisors to the peak of the logo of 26 inches. Would you guys be okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, and I don't think that the actual clapboards on this one match this image right here, so. I can call it out, but.
I think it would be better if we tried to all in the actual dimension
Of the size of the.
of the bench, it's just the benchmark that we want to reduce the height of,
No, well.
or the whole
No.
sign.
No,
So the-
it'd be
the
the whole
logo.
size in total, but they're gonna leave the size, technically, they're gonna leave the size of the realty advisors, so in this size, it's not gonna be a ratio shrink.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
gonna be more of just an overall height shrink. And that they can leave the realty advisors logo or comments a little
The
larger.
same size.
So I'll make a motion to approve the application as presented. With the following changes to the second story sign / logo. So that the realty advisors are located on the second clapboard from the bottom of the second floor. And that from the bottom of realty advisors to the top peak of benchmark does not exceed 26 inches.
To the top peak of the house.
Right, to the top peak of the benchmark logo, that peak of the house.
the lettering, the logo. This
The
is the
logo,
logo.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
This
Mhm.
recording will be posted to our website,
Mhm.
if you miss any of like the specific.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Yeah, my rule is at home.
Want to say it again?
Is there a second?
Oh, I second.
Thank you. Member Torres?
Yes.
You're welcome. Member Dubrasky?
Aye.
Member Cyril?
Aye.
Chair Olson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey. I thought there was two members, I don't know where I. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so next up is information only.
Hi there.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So look, the purpose of, so David Wilkes, I'm at 19 East Jefferson. It's a corner of Grand and Jefferson, so it's a corner lot. My wife and I purchased this home in early 2022. And we have 2 little boys. We just had a new son in October, so we have a 3.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. Thank you. We have a little corgi as well, so.
I got 2 6-month-olds.
Well,
boys.
I don't know how you're doing that. I know I'm crazy, so kudos to you.
Yeah, and I'll look forward to meeting them.
There.
In your face, yeah.
So, you know, when we moved in, we immediately knew that because of the fact that we were living effectively on a state highway, extremely busy at around 5 p.m. And also ahead of the school day, you know, obviously students are kind of racing around to get to school. We thought that we would want to put in a fence at some point, purely for safety. Certainly the cost, I would love to not have to put in a fence, but,
Yeah.
you know, from a safety standpoint, if we're gonna have this home for as long as, probably until I die. So, you know, we wanna make sure that it's our home, that our children feel safe,
Yeah.
that when their friends come over, they can feel safe. Thus, in the back, and again, it's always hard to understand because it's a corner lot, but effectively, and I think I included a survey from when we bought the home, and I tried to just draw a blue line of where the fence would be going. Effectively, it will be from the front of the house, you know, next to the front door, up to right behind, there's actually a tree line for our home. Let me see if I can show you a picture.
Is your front door facing East Jefferson?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, see.
This is our backyard. Effectively, this is Jefferson right here. Trees right here. The fence would go effectively all the way back, almost to, we have a creek in the back, or, you know, the stream that's back there. Let me see if I can show you the next photo. So you can see back there that behind us is a stream, and then our next door neighbors. And then it would go around. And as you can see, this is Jefferson up front here, and that's Rand on the other side, and that's our front.
This is an excellent application.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
It's very good. Yeah.
It's not, well, even an application is here for information.
Yeah.
I was looking at these things, just come in and.
Well, we missed the deadline by a day, and we were like, oh, we might as well just come in and at least understand what we're missing, what we need to add in.
You're gonna do the gate as pictured here?
I think I just included that more so for the picture of the wood.
But is it gonna be across your driveway?
No.
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Oh, okay.
Driveways.
This, I don't even know who's home this is. This is just.
My only notes would be concern around the seepage on the gate, because that doesn't look like a strong enough post, but it's irrelevant.
No, he's just trying to show
Yeah.
what the wood.
Just show like kind of what it looks like. Here, I'll do it in this picture.
You cannot live on Jefferson Road without a fence.
Yeah.
Kids and dogs. It's
Well,
just-
You can kind of tell what time it is based on the volume of traffic out the window.
Exactly. I tell my son loves cars, and so he loves to look out the window at the traffic.
Yeah.
I tell him,
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
sounds
do
like
not,
6:30 traffic.
yeah, I'm like, do not go out there. So that's our driveway. Yeah, it wouldn't be crossing.
Yeah.
So,
And it was a
So I just
sport
have one suggestion. I don't know,
It's just 3 feet, but not.
you know, this is just a suggestion, aesthetic kind of thing. But because your front door, your front walkway is gonna be like parallel to a fence.
Yeah,
You may wanna think about extending the fence over to, you know, like to the front and then having a gate, like a front gate, like. This is your front door,
yes.
so actually making it come out like this. And then having a front gate,
and if it's all 3 feet, because if it's all a 3-foot tall fence, is that accurate?
yeah.
Yes.
Then you could absolutely bring that out in front of your house and bring it to an edge there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
You know, and then
Or even
then you
bring
don't
it
even
out
have to
this way.
go, yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
Carolina's point, that's a great opportunity for like a nice little arbor or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you could make, it's a little bit more decorative, I'm just like. Your front door is kind of there and you're gonna have this like big
Yeah,
fence
front door
walking right
fence.
along, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
right,
actually maybe a little bit more welcoming to have
to have it
a
all
front
the way.
gate. And a little arbor or something and people walk in here, so you could actually bring this all the way around this if you wanted to.
Right, wow. So the only thing is we do have a tree, right, a very big tree.
Right.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's
Yeah.
huge, and it's one of the ones that has the exposed roots.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
So
so,
you, yeah, I mean, you could bring
but I
it this
still,
way,
yes,
so you
that
bring
would
it this
definitely
way,
work,
or,
bring it to
yeah.
the front.
Just something to think about. I mean, there's nothing
Yes.
wrong with this design. It's just aesthetically for a historical house. That's
To be able to
what
have
you
a
would
front
actually
gate.
have. You would have a front, garden with a
And it's
gate.
funny you mentioned that. We noticed on Rand, there are other historical homes that have that aesthetic where it's, again, the opening gate and it's kind of
Mhm.
welcoming to go up there.
Yeah,
I would love that.
just the thought.
Going back to Virginia's comment with the safety, you're correct. Since we've been here for 2 years, 2 of our neighbors' dogs have been killed.
Yeah,
on the street.
yeah.
It's a speeding village issue.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're not speeding.
No, yeah. You gotta have.
Volume traffic is just massive.
I know, I appreciate Carolyn's suggestion about having the fence go across the sidewalk. A practical concern that I would have is that anybody coming to the front door might not remember to close that gate. For me, it would be, for me, I would see that
I
as a
see what
safety.
They have
Bring
spring
all
They
ones.
have the spring ones, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
wouldn't take, personally, I wouldn't take that chance, that the spring is always gonna work, that it's always gonna be closed. If the dog, and I would worry about dogs.
Yeah, and he's
Kids-
also
kids,
got
you can-
3 other
You
gates.
can train them.
But he's gotta worry about to make sure they're
I think
closed.
I know, but it's not somebody right out, it's not
To the-
right out
to the highway.
To the highway.
Yeah.
I see, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And if that's a good point with the spring loading, I guess I would be afraid as well, potentially, if, heaven forbid, something happens with the spring or gets rusty or something, and then it's not as tense,
Mhm.
and it clicks open.
Yeah.
Our Courtney is very good with her nose to move things out of the way.
Oh, that has more to do with how well that post is set, right, more than anything.
Than
else.
anything, okay.
The one thing I would just call out to you, and it has nothing to do with the approval, but I would just clarify with them in terms of the language here on your contract, in terms of being a stockade space. Cedar with a stockade versus a cedar fence, they can look very similar, but they are not exactly the same.
Okay,
Stockade is typically much cheaper, poorly made, like, construction, like rapid design type stuff, whereas like, a good cedar pick, a lot of times, stockade kind of has like a rounded fascia to it, you can tell the difference when you're in person. On a picture, you wouldn't be able to tell.
yeah, okay, so here, I'll
Not
try.
that it's bad or good, just, know what you're getting.
So we, our neighbor, I guess, not neighbor, but they're 17 Locust.
Mhm.
They just had a fence or a replacement
Oh, yeah,
in-kind
yeah.
fence.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And it's the same company.
Oh,
Actually, that's why I called them, was
Yeah.
because I had seen them. And so.
They talk about dog, they got a hell of a dog.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put that on record.
Whenever I walk with my dog, she runs the other way.
Oh, my dog and I go up the other side of the street and up to the church.
Jumped up on the-
Oh my gosh, the dog's up on his hind legs like this over the fence and.
And it's huge. It's like a huge Saint Bernard or
Yeah,
something.
It's
Yeah.
here, it's a heck of a dog. So that is,
It's massive. When it stands, it's like
Yeah.
face to face with you,
Okay.
6 feet
so
tall.
that's kind of, he was.
Yeah, no, that's what you want.
I'm glad they reinforced it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think my husband's so Paul's full kinds of things.
Yeah.
And that's a nice looking
Right,
fence.
yeah.
That's a good
So-
fence. Yeah.
So I figured, I was like, as long as it's, I think they got approved. I talked to the neighbor and they're like, oh yeah, we went and we got approved
Yeah.
for replacement.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I wanna go with that.
Yeah.
Installer, because
Yeah.
that got approved, so. Okay, awesome, so, next steps for me, potentially look at, now, what would happen if we ultimately, should I get approval for more fence, or like, is there like?
No, think it through.
how does
You're gonna
it-
come back next month for
Yes.
this. I mean, just decide what you want. Either
Okay.
one is fine,
Okay,
I
Yeah.
mean.
The only other note, yeah, too, at least in terms of your fence line, if that curve is accurate in terms of the spacing, you may consider putting it off of this corner. Just so it's more square with the
that was what
walkway.
I was telling, I was like, could we put
It's like, it's a
in
little
the-
awkward putting the gate over like the curve.
And I'll show you
Yeah.
why I was a little concerned.
Or it may not, it may just be the drawing.
No, I think you're right, so,
Right there.
Yeah,
So here's
I would
where it
move it
would-
in.
Like where it's more squared off.
yeah, because effect, I'll start here.
Yeah.
This would go almost to kind of like
The window.
the window,
Well, if it's only 3 foot high, that looks like it's sufficiently high.
is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanna make sure aesthetically wasn't an issue.
I think
If it went,
look, it's like one or the other, right? Like which aesthetic do you care more about, I guess?
okay,
Usually, it's not that great to like put the posts like right on the corner of the house. You wanna
Yeah,
inset it a
that
little bit.
was-
And I would say the same on the side of the garage here too, like inset it a foot.
Okay. because yeah, that's kind of how the curve
Yeah.
Yeah.
looks.
Yeah.
So I think that is to scale.
Are these, but what is the dot?
So that right there. will
Is this where that
be
big
a-
tree is?
That was where we used to have a tree. It got removed because it had died. So that was actually a location that was wide enough for, when we had to get the bigger tree in the back cut down and the stump ground. So that would be a piece of, stockade or fence
Or
that could be
removable.
pulled up
Yeah,
if need be to allow access to the back.
that's what I was wondering,
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, because these all look like they're probably
Those are
4 foot gates, you definitely want to make sure you have good
Exactly.
access.
Exactly, so those are gates, that's just a pull out if need be, but he said like, this would not be something you'd want to do regularly, because
Yeah.
it's going to be heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So, okay, perfect. So effectively, next steps are look at the angle from the screen-in porch to the house.
Mhm.
Look at potentially extending around to the front of the house with a spring-loaded front gate.
Yeah.
And then, anything else?
Just make sure you're on the agenda. Don't miss the deadline.
I like both, but like, you know, if that has enough space with the walkway, having a nice flower bed there also could be really nice.
They're gonna design their whole yard. if you
Yeah,
say.
I was, I have no
This is
problem.
for information only, this is what we get to have fun with.
I will take
Just throw
any,
out ideas.
advice. So,
Need to go home and get dinner.
That's.
Alexandra's on here, so maybe not. Does she have any questions?
It's like, well, I have 2 kids right now.
That's a jibber jabber.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
take care. Bye.
Okay, let's talk about minutes. We have 2 sets from December 2nd and February 24th. The December 2nd is Daniel, Virginia, and Carolina.
Right, but it says I motioned here.
Yeah, that was an edit that December 2nd, you guys wanted to add some things, and that was one edit that I didn't catch. But I see it there now.
Do you want us to vote on it or move on?
Yeah, well, it should include everything that you all suggested at the last meeting that you wanted to capture.
Okay,
So it's up to you if you're ready to vote on it, or you feel like it should add more.
So which, I guess the question is, was I there or not? Second.
Are you in the attendance at
So
the
I'm
top?
not listed at top.
Yeah, then you're not,
But
you
then
weren't
it doesn't
there.
have me in any of the votes, at least initially, but then it does on the notes for the minutes.
That could have been a copy and paste error. Yeah, because if you're not in the attendance at the beginning, that means you weren't there.
I was not on my calendar. Was this a?
Mhm.
Well, this said the two. The two made the motion.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, you
Um,
seconded the motion.
Let me get my folder.
which one are you looking at?
December 2nd?
Motion by member Dabrowski.
but then also for the member items. But it's not on my calendar, so I don't believe I was at this meeting. No, I don't recall voting on a fence for Dave Marshall. Who was the signage? Do we know what
Which,
one that
which
was?
one?
14 South Main Street?
14 South Main Street. I don't think that they were there.
But you guys voted on.
So-
Oh, table.
Yeah, so,
No, I wasn't at this meeting.
14 South Main Street.
this was technically, I think, the November meeting and it got rescheduled
Right.
to December 2nd. Yeah. Yeah, so. Yeah.
So I don't know who seconded anything. But I abstained to vote on.
Okay, you weren't there.
Alright, so should we make those corrections? And in fact, I'll probably, yeah, do we wanna make those corrections? You table this, December 2nd?
So this would be the second time we're tabling it. If we're just correcting who was present on one motion, that would be easy.
Okay,
Is the content correct
It's not
now?
just one motion.
Cause it's. So I'll
Yeah.
correct the motions. And
Yeah,
then
because-
the content should be different from the last time you've seen these.
it is, and you added a lot of good findings of facts for the Airtos PVC. And it's called out that it's not a blanket endorsement. That's probably the most important one, and as Justin mentioned before, we can add to them if we need to.
Okay,
Finding the facts, I can write something up for that. Fence, Dave Marshall, Main Street signage was postponed. Line Street was replaced in kind because it was already vinyl and they wanted to go to hardy plank, so it's an improvement in our eyes. So I don't have any issues with it.
Yeah.
Other than the edit for Dabrowski in that. So I'll make a motion to accept the December 2nd, 2024 regular meeting minutes as presented with the only change of removing Chris Dabrowski's motions.
Second, I'll second.
Okay, then moving on to, oh, sorry.
yeah, then I'll just call the vote. Member Dubrasky,
Abstain.
thank you. Member Torres,
Yes.
member Cyril,
Yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, the next one is February 24th. And that is
We can't,
because we need
Oh.
Tina.
yeah,
Okay.
you and I and Tina.
All right.
Okay,
We asked her to come in special.
Well, from my understanding,
Special permit notice.
I thought, never mind.
No, what do you think?
I thought the village clerk had told me that if after some X amount of meetings that the recording secretary can publish the notes as is without the board's approval.
And I'm not arguing with the Dorothy.
Okay. So we'll give her some time.
yeah,
Yeah,
give us some time.
yeah.
Motion was made.
No, we got other stuff to do. Sorry, not to check.
This is why you need to gather. man.
Okay, so real quick, we'll go to member item B, June meeting date.
Yeah, is anyone open to moving that date from the 16th? It's my availability. I can have someone cover it, but I usually like to hold my meetings if possible.
Okay,
but-
so currently it's set for the 16th,
Mhm.
and what would you like to move it to?
If we could do another day that week or a Monday before or after.
You do either before or after.
Monday the 7th. That
Nine.
would work. Oh, I'm so
No, no,
sorry. Yeah.
Monday, it's the 16th. I can do the 23rd. No problem. Monday, the 23rd.
And member Dabrowski, you said also the
I
23rd?
don't think I can do-
You can't do the 23rd? Okay,
I'm-
you can.
I would prefer the 9th or another date on the week of the 16th, but the 23rd is busy. I'm flying to Cincinnati and I'm gonna be gone now.
Okay,
And then I'm gone the following, but that gets into the 4th of July, so let's try and.
I can do the 17th or the 18th.
if right now I can just,
17th or the 18th also, or the 9th.
if I could put it on your radar, because we may have some extra board members after the organizational meeting. We don't have to decide now, but if you can at
It's
least,
better if I have it on the calendar now.
Yeah.
because My wife's calendar is what
okay.
that is restricted for me.
okay,
Hers doesn't go that far out.
okay, yep, I understand that.
Can you do the 17th?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Or the 18th?
yeah.
We do the 17th?
Yeah.
Yep, I can do the Tuesday the 17th.
Tuesday, the 17th, and you just motion to reschedule it and I will do that. Thank you, everyone.
Motion rescheduled.
I'll second that motion.
Changing from June 16th to June 17th at 5:30.
Correct.
Thank you. Member Cyril,
Yes.
Chair Olson,
Yes.
member Torres,
Yes.
member Dabrowski,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, great. All right, so let's talk about this Irving Gaskin Preservation Award. So this is something that I've wanted to do for at least the last year. I wrote up that email, did everyone get it?
Yep.
And kind of read through it. And then Virginia and Jeff and Alexandria, trustee Cove, all mentioned, and including the mayor, because I had a conversation with the mayor, about doing something like this, and then we had another phone call about it later on. But a lot of people have gave us all the information that there's already a preservation award in place. So this is great that we don't have to start from scratch. What I would like to do is try and keep it as close to the calendar year as possible. And make sure that everything that's on the application was completed in that calendar year. So I don't want to go back to 2023, it's too far gone. Unless anyone else wants to.
But last year, because work has been now completed.
Yes, exactly.
On
On those applications. So, what I did is I ended up grabbing, hold up back here.
You know, short list, kind of.
It is a short list, of course. But,
Or at least a list.
how do we want to go about this? Do we want to, because I don't want this to be something that I've selected, but, and this isn't that long, all of these are all the meetings that we had each year, or each month. So, fences and building signs, those are, everybody understands that those are gonna go sort of the wayside for something like this, so.
It needs to be a significant.
You don't wanna nominate that fence on that
Yes,
one?
yeah. Yeah, that's a nice little fence. So, did anyone have time to go back and look for anything?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. Chris?
No.
That's totally fine. So I want to make sure everyone has plenty of time to go back and review and take a minute to look through. Unless we want to move forward with a handful to look at tonight. But so what did you find?
I just pulled the ones, like Jenny said, that are kind of significant projects, things that really like changed or improved the look.
Yeah.
and Feel of the house and made it more,
Made a big difference for
Yeah.
a significant building,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
So the short list that I have is, there was a 34 Church Street addition. And they already had an addition. This is one where they kind of knocked off the addition that was done in this.
Yes.
60s or
No, they
something.
had a deck or something like that.
Yeah, and they expanded that out the back.
Yeah.
So that was one. The other one was the Eastview Terrace, where they went from like something that was very monolithic looking to kind of creating a breezeway and another mass, and I thought that
Has
was
that
actually.
Has that been built?
Yeah, so I think that.
That's one that was like up on the hill.
Talking about
Yeah.
25 issue?
Yeah,
Not done yet.
it's not done yet.
So I think that, how should we define this? Should because go back to the date right here,
Yes. Are
There was
there-
one on North Main Street, a greenhouse. Was that 23?
Main Street.
They put on that garage.
Oh, yeah, that's like a year. ago.
I mean, they did a great job on that.
Yeah, they did a good job.
I only looked at 2024.
I feel like half the projects that we approved in 2024 have like barely broken ground.
Well, so
Yeah,
that's the
so
thing,
maybe
so
that's.
so how do we define it in
Completion, data completion
what is in the calendar year?
of the award given.
Okay, so from January 2024 to December 31st, 2024 is the award that we will present in June
Can
as
Steve,
an aiming.
can Steve come up with a short list?
State
Because
Street with the blue house, they
you're
did a
the one
great
who
job.
know what's completed.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got suggestions, send me a list of
let's do that.
suggestions, I can tell you when those jobs were completed.
Okay, so right now we have 34 Church Street. And I believe it's completed, it might not be painted, because I walk, they're my neighbors. So
Is this the deck that they put on the back?
this is right next to Chase Bank.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
they're
they
gonna-
ripped the deck off and put an addition.
You know,
It's South Insurance Water.
I'm thinking of the one that gave us a pencil drawing that they didn't even use a ruler on.
Oh, you're talking
On the
about
street.
South Street,
Street.
Umbro, which is ironically the same exact house that the fiberglass door is for, just a new owner.
Yeah.
Okay, What?
I don't, it might be.
No, yeah, I know it is, because I knew the previous owner, and with that deck, yeah,
Yes.
myself.
Well, I would put the stipulation on that a proper application, a well
One year term one.
supported application
Yeah,
is part of the approval of our documentation of work well done,
Yeah,
because coming in
So-
with a,
So,
I
I mean,
will-
so it sounds like the most efficient way to do this is, if we're gonna do the thing in June.
Yeah.
Right,
It would-
then,
May would be wonderful, preservation.
this man's preservation on it.
okay,
okay.
I don't
So-
know, that would really be quick, but it would be appropriate.
Yeah.
So what we need is a list of, applications that were completed, or, you know, homes that were completed in 2024.
yeah. Applications that were completed in 2024, and we don't need the whole list from Steve. What we're gonna do tonight is give him 4 or 5 to confirm that they were completed,
Okay.
and then we could aim to vote on those in next month's meeting. Okay, so,
Did you establish criteria of what you're voting on yet? Or are you just using past awards?
Surprised if there's already an award,
I sent over the awards to you guys from the past, so.
it was a thick pack, and
I know, it was everything.
I did
It
not
was,
think through it.
it was everything, but, okay.
But what we will vote upon will be the urban Gaskin criteria, not just the
Right,
4 of our preference.
that's
It'll be
right.
the criteria,
the criteria and the
yes.
definition of the award.
Before we get there, we need to pick at least 2, 3, or 4 to make sure that we could have someone to present the award to. So we have 34 Church Street,
Okay,
and then you also have,
well, you said the B3 Terrace isn't done, so 25 Monroe Sunroom.
I'm not sure
That,
the award.
that's,
Blue House?
that's an improvement.
I too have, I too have that.
That was a really nice.
If you want to show that to Steve.
He's
Mr.
really
Helm.
good.
It's,
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
yeah, the sunroom that they did out the back of the corner there. And then I have the 5 Sutherland Garage, that's not done.
no, they haven't, I
They
don't know.
haven't
if
started
it's-
working ground.
Yeah. Oh, we wanna get this approved so we can break ground before the frost.
The one on South Main where they had the garage is very nice.
South Main, new garage.
South Main,
Yeah.
greenhouse, right hand side.
The greenhouse.
Yeah, that's what Chris brought up.
Yeah.
Leaving the village on the right hand side,
Yep.
South Main.
With
Yeah,
nice
But I think that they
Can't think
finished
of
that
the
in
name,
23.
I can see his face, but I can't think of the name.
I think they finished it in 2023.
Well,
No,
we'll check, you can
No.
check.
Will you check?
I know it didn't finish the last year.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
the kitchen, 42 Monroe Kitchen Edition.
Hasn't been finished yet.
Hasn't, they're still
Not done.
working on it, right?
Not done.
Little tech wrap.
Then, okay, I don't know.
The one
Okay.
at 42 Monroe, isn't that addition sort of toward the rear?
Yeah.
Yeah, this now,
But then they did a sunroom off to the side.
yeah.
It's not done yet.
Okay.
Well, all I'm thinking of is that if the really great work was done on the back of the house,
Mhm.
yeah,
It's a solarium.
well, that's why we can vote.
Solarium, that's it.
Okay, then I have
I think
the
it's,
67 South Main Street shutters. That Dave Marshall.
Oh,
And
yeah.
those, even if you read it goes, we would like to replace the plastic non-historic shutters on our home with historically accurate ones. And they went through great efforts, and it was a great
Shutter
application
dogs.
to yours,
yes,
the shutter dogs,
Mhm.
and the outcome is really sharp too.
Yep.
Not significant to the house, so it's just shutters, not an addition.
No, of course it's not an addition.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, but it's still historically preserving the house and improving. This isn't an additional.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call this an addition award. Is that what we're looking at?
no,
No,
it's
I
just,
think that this is incredibly important
Mhm.
yes.
to do shutters like this. And then we
Yeah.
also have,
Yeah.
now this is,
it creates a look.
Yeah, well.
that
and-
should be
Like-
historically
like-
accurate,
like-
right? Fake shutters on at the
No,
beginning.
I'm saying a look in regards to who?
Oh,
Fair, fair.
I don't care about that.
I'm just, you know how things are, so I'm just throwing it out there.
I think that the fact that somebody is sitting on one of the boards or maybe even an elected official
Shouldn't matter.
should not disqualify them.
No,
from this.
No,
so.
I don't care about that at all. In fact, it didn't even cross my mind. Okay, then this is one that, 26 Boughton. They came in asking to redo the doors and the storms, and they came together with a great application, again. Historically
Accurate.
accurate, an improvement, and I have not been over there to see if this job. is done.
They went through hell for that. They worked their butts off.
Yeah.
Bree
This
and
one's
her
still
husband really did a
Yeah.
great job. I mean, all the windows were restored to original, the doors restored to original.
Yeah,
The addition on the back, you can't even tell that it was added onto the house.
yeah, so, again, it doesn't have to be the most expensive or biggest or anything like that, but even these small little like preservation techniques that just add just that last little tick is really sharp.
No,
And then
I
I-
don't like that, because I mean, you give these things out to recognize people that are really doing an effort to
Yeah.
try to do restoration, and also to incentivize other people. to do it,
Well, then the question also becomes like, when is it presented, in what capacity and format?
Yeah.
Because if it's just like, hey, here you go, like, is that really amplifying anything?
Yeah, so I talked
Newsletter.
I talked to the mayor, it used to be a plaque,
Mhm.
and then there's also a proclamation that they, will then print out a frame and present to the, applicant, and they can come, kind of like they just did for, Mr. McBride, something like that. And then obviously can go in the village newsletter or something like that, but.
Leading thought, it would be so nice if it was just like a little chain to add on to the erected date sign, just like, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Yeah, I like those.
And-
I like the smaller ones, because not everyone is gonna be able to put, $200,000 addition on their
Yeah.
house, you know.
Right, well, I don't think that matters, I think it's how well you did it. Did you
It's the small.
bring it right, did you do it right?
yeah. Materials, accuracy, craftsmanship. So what we'll do is, Steve will make sure that all of these are completed, unless we want to talk about it anymore. Those are the only ones I can.
Those are great
Great
options.
chance.
So.
What about, oh gosh, I can't think of the street off of South that goes over to the canal, or is that
Austin?
addition? Yeah, Austin.
Yeah, and you know what, we worked through that one also to kind of keep
Quite a
the face of the house towards the canal.
Right.
Instead of keep it, they wanted to change that.
Oh, yeah.
But
But I don't know when
think
that was
was
completed.
23.
Well, I think it was from 22, but I just don't know when it was completed.
Yeah.
That was a pretty significant, Austin Park
You're talking about 5 Austin Park, one right on the
On the
front,
end.
right?
On the canal.
on the canal.
Oh, the one on the back, the left, the back left on the canal. you're talking about?
If you're looking from the canal on the left.
It faces the canal.
Oh, yeah,
Basically,
yeah, that was, I
That
don't
might
know
have
what
been
that was,
22.
where that was.
It might have been early 24, it could have been.
Might have been. I think it was completed, but they didn't do a final till 24.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But they worked with us, like, you know, we had a lot of input on that, and they worked with
I don't
us.
think that that's technically completed,
Yeah.
so we'll see what Steve comes back with. All right, so a week or two,
Yeah.
okay,
that's fine.
a week or two, email the board, a final list.
And then a couple strong ones too, not just the weak ones.
And then, what we'll do is I'll review the, Gaskin, award information further. To make sure we have a full understanding of how to vote and criteria to meet. And then again, we'll aim for May, it might be tough. But if we can't, then we'll go to June. And I doubt that
Well, you
we'll be
could
able
just
to.
decide that,
Yeah,
year fourth, that's when it's.
We had a calendar,
Yeah.
calendar earlier in
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
So that we can meet May.
yeah. But I'm just glad that we're. doing
And track
something like
them.
this.
And track them along the way
Yeah,
better, differently.
you should see my.
Yeah.
original right now. I had to go. and get-
I don't know why you had all those agendas at
I
home.
think- I think- I have every single one.
Okay.
Does everybody
I
know?
just did it different ways. And I just screen grabbed, so I could see like the before and after picture.
Does everybody know who Irv Gaston was?
Uh,
I believe he was the very first chair of the very first APRB in this village, and I served with him, a year or two before he resigned.
I read something,
That's too bad.
yeah,
Although, at that point in time, and this has to do with that, the, building inspector, and it was the same rules then. He would just stand at the front of the house and say, oh, I can't see the sides. They did what they wanted in a sense. And vinyl siding looked exactly like wood siding.
Yeah.
When how my garage was built,
When was it built?
01.
2001?
Is it vinyl?
No, it's just so much more massive than the primary structure.
Mhm.
Well, I was not, I didn't sort of look at that. All I can say is.
It was like, there was like a little shanty in the back, like a lot of places had, and this is like
Yeah.
much more than my house. And then there's an addition of vinyl windows and, yeah.
So let's keep an eye out for those emails. I doubt that we'll be able to vote or present in May. It's just too late. So in May, in the May meeting, this board will vote on the 4 or 5 applicants. And then we'll do the presentation to the applicant in June, and we'll invite them to the June meeting.
Well, maybe we can still make it. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 If we're voting on the 17th. Giving the presentation happening, like, that's preservation month, I think that, and this board and this village does not do a lot for preservation month as far as I have observed.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was like in preservation month.
Well, you're gonna have to have 2 meetings, right,
Yeah.
in May.
That's fine.
So
Just a quick
May's
meeting.
meeting,
Is on May 19th.
I mean, does the voting for that have to be official business? Can it just be?
Yeah.
yeah, it should probably be official business.
I mean, I'll have your dates by the end of the week.
Well, because you don't know who's gonna win, and you don't want to invite them all, you know.
Oh, no, if we vote on it on the 17th,
The
then there
main,
could be a separate,
Wait, the May meeting is
on the
the
19th.
17th is the June,
oh, sorry,
yeah.
but still,
So here's May 19th.
but
What
there's
if-
still 11 days.
What if we vote for it in our meeting, but we have, the mayor give it at a board of trustees meeting?
When's the board of trustees meeting?
There's what, 2 a month.
Is
so
that
it
what
should
you
be
wanna
half
do?
hours.
Are there 2?
Yeah, there's 2, right?
Just so, I mean. You don't have to drag us all out here just to vote on it.
It would be nice to do it at a regular board meeting, you know.
Our meeting.
Our meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's if it's coming from the preservation board.
Yeah, true.
But let me tell you when the May meeting is for, so if we meet on May 19th, the trustees meet thereafter May 27.
Do the trustees have to approve or authorize
No, I just,
or
you know, just-
something?
No,
Official capacity of
yeah,
the
This is a
mayor.
board, this is an HPB action.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering.
yeah, I don't,
There's a suggestion, way out of the 2 meetings.
Yeah, that's all.
if the board members wanted to talk to your liaison and get on the agenda for that and then make it part of trustees meeting, that's up to you guys, but
okay.
yeah, it would still be in May.
It just also feels like, you know, much bigger with the trustees and the mayor and not just, from us, but it's like, you know,
Mhm.
bigger audience.
Mhm.
For the recipient.
At least for the first year, since we're kind of on short notice.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, you could do it at the beginning of the trustee meeting.
Mhm.
So
On the 27th,
Yeah, so nothing, you know,
Mhm.
you make it even a joint meeting of the 2
Yeah.
boards.
okay. Let's aim for that. And if there has to be, because again, this is, I know we want to hit May, but if I wasn't in the office on, whatever, Friday or Thursday the 10th. Thinking about doing this and writing an email, it would never would have happened, so I think
Right.
that.
I know,
I know we might not hit May, but let's aim for that, and then. And on the 19th. Meeting agenda, have Irv Gaskin's voting.
We can also announce the
On the
winner
agenda.
and
On the
maybe
agenda.
present at a different time.
Yeah,
And then you guys will decide on what type of award you want to give, whether it's a plaque and the proclamation or one or the other.
yeah.
Okay.
I think the winner should have their own car for the Memorial Day parade.
Oh, they're gonna take my parking spot? No, I'm just kidding. For when they come to Village Hall.
No, just the parade, that's all.
It has to be an antique
It
car,
has to be Studebaker or something.
or we can get them pull out the fire truck,
That's
that's.
somebody that has one.
All right, I appreciate that. Thanks, guys. That's a good conversation and I think it's the right thing to do for our board, so.
In a similar vein, I don't know if we have the capacity or timing, but you know, they always do like the food festival and music and, you know, I know that's sponsored by the town, but I always thought from a visibility perspective, it would make a whole lot of sense if we try to have a tent there. Just to have like, you know, just to kind of break down the barrier of like, oh, can I do this, can I not? I feel like the door was very combative because he probably had no idea what he was getting into. Right, like, and I know that we do the for information only, but I think it would just be a really nice gesture if we could get a tent and some space and just like, we all just pull a shift. Hey, come up and ask us your home renovation questions that you're thinking about before you even get into an application.
It's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
That would be a
Because all we ask is people to just engage
Are you
us.
thinking about paddle and pour?
Yeah, paddle and pour, but also there's the one that they do in later in the summer.
There's one in
Yeah,
the
shut
fall,
up, friends, I
there's
pulled
one, yeah,
Yeah,
the food truck festival in September.
Yeah.
yep,
Better be giving away some free candy.
something.
Yeah.
If Thursdays can give out sunglasses, I mean, come on, what can we
Gotta
do?
bring it, gotta bring them in somehow.
The State Street nice stuff.
Yeah,
That's how they used to answer the phone. I don't know if they still do it or not.
well, depends on who's calling, I think.
It's a white,
Yeah. Motion to turn the meeting.
wrong number.
Second that.
Member Torres,
Yes.
member Dubrasky.
Yes.
Member Cyril,
Yes.
Chair Olson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Hey, look at that.